Alright, let's imagine that humans have evolved to survive on very little oxygen. That means the Earth is now a no-go zone for us. And let's say that now we can live only on planets with little to no oxygen. It's time to build new homes on Mercury and Jupiter. So let's explore what life would be like if that happened. As you set foot on Mercury, you'll immediately notice how crazily bright it is. Mercury, being the closest planet to the Sun, is a never-ending summer vacation. Right now, it's scorching hot at a sizzling 800 degrees Fahrenheit. But since we don't need any water or oxygen, our bodies have adapted to the blazing heat and dry conditions of Mercury. Instead of overheating, our skin possesses a special protective layer that helps us handle these conditions. So, we're able to live there without any discomfort. How cool is that? On Mercury, the air is very thin. As a result, the sky there appears mostly dark and empty. The surface, however, is pretty colorful. It can appear orange and golden due to the planet's rocky terrain and the intense sunlight. All this creates some captivating views. Our activities would be super exciting. The gravity on Mercury is very weak, almost 3 times weaker than Earth's. So, imagine gliding through the air with incredible wingsuits, effortlessly soaring above the molten landscapes. So many possible cool tricks to show off. The buildings in this world are both imaginative and practical. They're made of special materials that can handle the heat and shine with a metallic gold color, reflecting the scorching sunlight. As you can see, our life in this small, hot world can still be pretty exciting. But let's move on to Venus. Now we've got ourselves quite a workload. This is the wildest and wackiest planet in the neighborhood. Temperatures there sizzle at a mind-boggling 900 degrees Fahrenheit. But guess what? Our bodies are cool with it. We can handle extreme temperatures. The winds there are crazy fast, reaching speeds of 224 miles per hour. Amongst them, we spot mysterious dark streaks that refuse to budge. Even scientists are puzzled by these streaks, which soak up ultraviolet radiation. It's like Venus has some secret party tricks up its sleeve. And speaking of parties, the planet is packed with active volcanoes, and they're always putting on quite a show. Molten lava flows and fiery eruptions are our daily dose of entertainment. Venus is similar in size to Earth, so the landscape feels familiar, but with a twist. It has a crazy amount of pressure that would make even the toughest creatures on Earth squirm. But not us. Our bodies are built to handle it, and we confidently strut around Venus like it's no big deal. Our cities shine like beacons, built with materials that can handle the intense heat and pressure. The metallic structures reflect the fiery glow of the Venusian sun. Inside, we've got super advanced cooling systems that keep us comfy despite the scorching temperatures. We surf on streams of molten lava, safely of course, and explore the volcanic landscapes. Pretty exciting, isn't it? But still, how about moving to a more friendly environment? Like Mars. Moving to Mars is one of our biggest goals. Its surface is a colorful canvas with hues of brown, gold, and tan. It's covered in rusting iron, regolith, which is like Martian soil, and dust. We would also be surrounded by volcanoes, impact craters, crustal movement, and mighty dust storms. As we gaze into the sky, we're greeted by Phobos and Deimos, Mars's moons. The sky itself is hazy and painted in shades of red, and becomes blue during the sunset, opposite to what we have on Earth. The temperatures on Mars can be quite extreme. Sometimes it's as mild as a comfortable 70 degrees Fahrenheit, while at other times it plunges to bone-chilling lows of around negative 225 degrees Fahrenheit. But once again, let's assume that our bodies have adapted to handle these swings. We've also developed ways to safeguard ourselves from meteorites and asteroids. These guys will be our frequent guests. The thin atmosphere of Mars doesn't provide much protection from them. Out of all the planets, Mars would be the easiest one for us to adapt to. Our next candidates, though, are not that hospitable. Living on Jupiter, the gas giant is a whole new level of adventure. Since there's no solid ground to walk on, we've come up with some super cool ways to call this place home. Picture floating cities like gigantic bubbles, suspended in swirling gases and liquids. They're specially designed to withstand extreme pressures and temperatures. To get around, we have jetpacks and hovercrafts. Imagine floating amidst Jupiter's majestic atmosphere, surrounded by cold, windy clouds of ammonia and water. These vibrant stripes and swirls paint the planet with a colorful palette. We zip through the colorful clouds, enjoying a mesmerizing kaleidoscope. Our homes and cities are filled with vibrant colors and shimmering lights. We've even created artificial gravity zones, where we can experience a semblance of gravity and walk with a bounce in our step. But be careful. Jupiter's powerful storms can be intense. Luckily, we have advanced weather prediction technology that keeps us safe. We watch the mesmerizing light shows of lightning dancing across the sky, marveling at the raw power of nature. All this sounds pretty fun, doesn't it? Well, what about the next gas giant, Saturn? Once again, we can live in the skies of Saturn, right among its beautiful rings. Our cities are like big, colorful balloons that sparkle and shine with bright lights. Inside, we have large domes where we can freely enjoy everything this incredible planet has to offer. Instead of walking, we use special devices that make us glide through the air, just like on Jupiter. In this extraordinary place, we had to discover new ways to generate power. We use the energy from Saturn's powerful storms. These sources of energy help us fuel our floating cities, giving us the electricity and resources we need to thrive. Saturn has many moons, and each one has its own special features. We've set up outposts on some of these moons, where we can go on exciting adventures and explore their mysterious landscapes. But if living on a gas giant wasn't challenging enough, we also have ice giants in our system. Welcome to the fascinating world of Uranus. Despite the super chilly temperature of -353 degrees Fahrenheit, we've come up with clever ways to make this place livable. To create warmth, we can learn from Earth's greenhouse effect. Like a cozy blanket, we can introduce special gases into Uranus's atmosphere that trap heat. Another idea is to build gigantic mirrors to capture and reflect the sun's heat. But let's be honest, it would be quite a challenge to position all those massive mirrors just right. Our homes are designed to withstand extreme conditions. We use dense fluids like methane, ammonia, and water to build structures that keep us warm and cozy. Our habitats provide shelter from the freezing temperatures outside. We may even discover new forms of life that have adapted to the unique conditions of this icy giant. Now that would be chilling for sure. And finally, we have Neptune. It is the cool and distant cousin of the solar system. Neptune's atmosphere is mostly composed of hydrogen, helium, and methane. There's also no water, only lots and lots of ice. But that's fine with us, right? So it's time to construct habitats. Let's envision another sky city. After all, who doesn't love the idea of floating cities amidst the clouds? Imagine gazing out from your sky city, observing the mesmerizing hues and swirling storms of this ice giant. The vibrant colors of the atmosphere would paint a breathtaking backdrop for our daily adventures. We'd explore the mysteries of Neptune's moons, delving into their icy landscapes and uncovering the secrets they hold. Hey, a world where humans don't need oxygen or water to survive doesn't sound that bad. We'd soar through the skies and roam vast landscapes. The only limits we would have would be the limits of our own imagination. So stay tuned for more captivating what-if scenarios.
Now, space missions used to be this big deal, but now they're starting to feel like a walk in the park. But there's a catch. Our bodies aren't exactly built for surviving on other planets. Now, I know what you're thinking. Our bodies will eventually adapt and evolve, right? Well, yeah, evolution is always on the clock, but let's be real here. It's not going to happen overnight. We're not talking about a cool million years for some changes to kick in, and honestly, who's got the time for that? So, how about tweaking our genes just a little bit to make living on other planets easier? Genetic modifications are all about changing an organism's genetic material, like its DNA, to give it some cool new traits or characteristics. Now, picture this. Scientists could totally mess around with our genes to make us more resistant to crazy temperatures. You know, like the temperature fluctuations of the moon, minus 298 degrees Fahrenheit at night to 224 degrees Fahrenheit daytime. Wow. They might even figure out a way to make us super tough against radiation, which is a huge deal in space or on planets with weak atmospheres. We definitely don't want to get fried out there. Oh, and here's another thing they could do. Tackle the effects of low gravity. Spending too much time in low gravity can really mess up our muscles, bones, and even our heart. But if they tweak those genes related to muscle and bone growth, we could become super strong and resistant to all those nasty effects. However, it's not as simple as it might seem. The technology for safe and precise genetic modifications is still in its early stages, so it might even take as much time as it would for our bodies to naturally evolve and adapt to other planets. There are a couple of nice exoplanets where humanity might potentially live. I'm talking about Gliese 667cc, Kepler 442b, Kepler 62e, Kepler 452b, Gliese 837, you name it. In fact, I'm sure you can do a better job of naming than these. Now consider Gliese 667cc. In fact, let's nickname this one Gary for short. Turns out that Gary gets about 90% of the light that Earth does. But instead of regular visible light, this planet mostly gets infrared light. To put it simpler, Gary is rocking only 20% of the visible light that Earth gets. Yep, it's a bit darker over there. So, do we need really warm clothes and night vision goggles to thrive on this planet? Nah, not really. In addition to darkness, Gary is estimated to have a higher mass than Earth, meaning it likely has a stronger gravitational pull. To adapt, humans would need to hit the gym at least twice a day. Translation? Humans would need to develop stronger muscles and bones to withstand the increased gravity. Over generations, natural selection might favor individuals with these adaptations. We still know too little about these exoplanets to move there anytime soon. Hey, how about some planets in our solar system? Let's discover our top picks. This way, we can easily figure out what changes we need to make. So, first things first, let's eliminate the two ice giants in our solar system and their friends. Yep, Neptune, Uranus, and the two gas giants Saturn and Jupiter. Sorry guys, but terraforming you is just not gonna happen. Even so, we still have 4 super cool candidates right here in our solar system. You all know them well. Venus and Mars, the popular kids on the block. And then we have Jupiter's moon, Callisto, and Saturn's moon, Titan. They might not be as famous, but they've got some serious potential to become Earth 2.0. So, it turns out some of Jupiter's moons are super cool for terraforming. They're packed with water, which is a big plus. But here's the catch. Only Callisto is far enough from Jupiter's radiation belts. You see, on Earth, we get hit with about 0.24 rems of radiation per year. But, for instance, Ganymede, another of Jupiter's moons, gives away a whopping 8 rems per day. Just to make it clear, professional workers here on Earth can have more than 5 rem per year. Callisto is different though. We don't need to tweak our genes as it only gets about 0.01 rems per day, which we humans can totally handle. Now, let's not get too carried away with the idea that life on Callisto is all sunshine and beaches, like in California. Nope, it's more like an icy wonderland out there. So if you ever find yourself on Callisto, make sure to pack your snazziest protective clothing and some high-tech heating systems. Honestly, at this point, we might as well wish for evolution to take us back to our furry animal days. I mean, think about it. Our ancestors were rocking some serious fur game, just like those cool chimps and gorillas. But as time went on and we got all fancy with our evolution, we decided to ditch the fur coat and go for a more minimalist look. Now, why did we lose our fur? That's a question that has puzzled scientists for ages. Darwin thought it was about finding less hairy mates, while others believed it was to keep those pesky lice away. But these days, most researchers think it all comes down to staying cool. Picture this. Our ancestors were strutting their stuff on open, dry lands after they learned to walk on 2 legs. Think of a patchy forest or a sunny savanna instead of a lush rainforest. In that kind of environment, overheating was a real threat. So we evolved to have less body hair and more sweat glands to help us cool down by sweating like crazy. Now Titan, the moon of Saturn, is like a treasure chest of resources just waiting to be cracked open. We're talking hydrocarbon reserves that make Earth's look like a kid's play, with petroleum for days. Plus, it's got all sorts of organic compounds like methane, ammonia, and water. And don't forget its atmosphere is a nitrogen party, just like early Earth's. Here's where it gets really interesting. If Titan's atmosphere is similar to what Earth used to be, we could totally transform it into a modern Earth-like atmosphere. Picture this: giant mirrors in space beaming sunlight onto Titan's surface, heating things up and releasing water vapor. oxygenated atmosphere coming right up. And to top it off, Titan hangs out within Saturn's magnetosphere, so it's shielded from those pesky solar winds. Now, Titan's gravity is about 1/7 that of Earth, which could lead to muscle and bone deterioration over time. To counteract that, our bodies would need to develop stronger muscles and denser bones to withstand the lower gravity. Seems like Earth is the only place where we can't skip gym without gravitational consequences. Now, when it comes to being the hottest planet, Mercury may be the Sun's next-door neighbor, but Venus takes the crown. The temperature there is a scorching 870 degrees Fahrenheit on average. It's like trying to survive in a pot of boiling water or in the fiery depths of Venus itself. I guess the richest people out there would be those selling sunscreens and ice cream. Sorry folks, no amount of evolution can turn us into superhumans who can handle Venus's extreme conditions. The only beings that theoretically could possibly thrive there are tardigrades. These tiny cute little critters that look like caterpillars and have some seriously impressive toughness. They can survive boiling water, the darkest depths of the ocean, and even the freezing airless emptiness of space. In fact, they were part of a scientific study on a spacecraft that unfortunately crashed on the moon. Still, recent research proves that even these guys won't survive on Venus. Now, look at this guy. He's been kicking it on Mars for ages, which explains why he's rocking the wrong shade of self-tan. Turns out all those carrot-loving carotenoids in his diet, like sweet potatoes, bell peppers, tomatoes, and pumpkins, are the aces up his sleeve protecting him against UV rays. The more he munches on those, the more he turns into a walking orange. And let me tell you, his strength? It's all about that Martian gravity, my friend. The gravity there messes with our perception of weight. So if you want to be a boss on Mars, you gotta chow down big time. Like, if you weigh 150 pounds on Earth, it feels like you're carrying no more than 55 pounds on Mars. So overindulging in food can totally help bridge that gap between gravity and weight. Ooh, time to feast like a Martian.
For decades now, scientists have been discovering new planets outside our solar system. By 2023, we've found more than 5,000 of them, and many of these exoplanets could potentially even have life. Now, if you're ready for a wild ride through space, let's find out what potentially habitable planets we've discovered in the last few years. LP890-9b and LP890-9c. Buckle up because we're heading to LP890-9. A red dwarf star located a whopping 105 light-years away from Earth. This star is quite cool compared to our Sun, in terms of temperature, of course. It has a temperature of about 4,700 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, this little guy may be small, but is packed with surprises. For example, 2 exoplanets orbiting around it. Moreover, both of these planets are likely terrestrial, meaning they are rocky, just like Earth. First up, we have LP90-9b, which was discovered in 2022 using the TESS telescope and later confirmed by the Speculoos telescope. This planet is a super-Earth, weighing in at about 13 times the mass of our own planet. It's also slightly bigger than Earth, with a radius about 1.3 times larger. And if you thought Mercury's orbit around the Sun was quick, just wait until you hear about LP890-9b. It takes about 3 days to complete one lap around its star. Imagine falling asleep in freezing winter and waking up in hot summer. But the real showstopper here is LP890-9c. This one was discovered by the Speculoos telescope. It's a bit further out from the star and takes a leisurely 2.5 times longer to orbit than LP890-9b. It's also a bit larger than Earth. But its real claim to fame is its location within the habitable zone of its star. That means it could potentially have liquid water on its surface and a climate suitable for life. Now this planet becomes a prime candidate for studying its atmosphere using the James Webb Space Telescope. But hold on. It's not all sunshine and rainbows for LP890-9c. It's also really close to its star, meaning it's full of radiation that could potentially make it less habitable. And to top it off, it's tidally locked, just like our moon. That means one side of the planet is always facing the star and is incredibly hot, while the other is always in the dark and really cold. Scientific models suggest that this planet could be more like Venus in terms of its atmosphere and climate, and Venus isn't known for being human-friendly. But despite these challenges, LP890-9c is still a fascinating exoplanet worth studying further. Who knows what secrets it may hold? Let's move on to the next candidates. GJ1002b and GJ1002c. An international team of scientists, led by researchers at the Instituto de Astrofísica de Canarias, has found two Earth-like planets just 16 light-years away from our solar system. They both orbit a red dwarf star called GJ1002. Our Sun is a yellow dwarf, which means that GJ1002 is much cooler and fainter than our own Sun. But that's okay. Both planets are very close to its star, so it shouldn't be too cold or dark on them. These planets, called GJ1002b and GJ1002c, are both in the habitability zone of their star, meaning they could potentially support life. Also, both of them have masses similar to that of Earth. GJ1002b is the inner planet and takes about 10 days to orbit its star, while GJ1002c takes a little over 21 days. These planets are great candidates for studying their atmospheres and could even be targets for future missions to search for signs of life. The most important thing is that these two planets could potentially support life, and that's pretty cool. Plus, the fact that they're located so close to us means that we might be able to visit them someday. Well, maybe not us personally, but And maybe one day, we'll even find some extraterrestrial life on one of these planets. Now that would be out of this world. But moving on to the next one. Kepler 1649c. Kepler 1649c, also known as the Lost Exoplanet, was rediscovered in 2022 by scientists using data from NASA's Kepler spacecraft. This exoplanet is located about 300 light-years away from Earth and orbits a small, cool star called Kepler 1649. It's about the same size as Earth, and just like the previous ones, it's located in the habitable zone of its star. Initially, the data about this planet was discarded. A special computer program called RoboVetter, written to automatically sift through the volumes of Kepler data, labeled this candidate as a false positive. In other words, the program thought it was just some kind of an error or interference. Fortunately, the researchers double-checked such things, and when rechecking the data, they managed to rescue poor Kepler 1649c. Now we know that this is a terrestrial planet just like Earth, and if it really does contain water, there could even be life there. But don't pack your bags just yet. There are still many unknowns about Kepler 1649c. For example, we don't know what its atmosphere is like or what kind of surface it has. It's also possible that the planet is tidally locked, just like LP890-9c. That would be, unpleasant. That's why Kepler 1649c is definitely worth further study. Maybe it turns out to be a perfect place for us to set up a vacation home in the future. Just make sure to bring plenty of sunscreen since the planet is pretty close to its star and things could get pretty toasty. Kepler 1638b. This exoplanet is located about 5,000 light-years from Earth in the constellation Cygnus. It's also located in the habitable zone of its star. It was discovered in 2020 by the Kepler spacecraft through the process called transiting. They basically take a bunch of photos of the star at different times. After that, the programs analyze these photos and look for small spots and dots on them. These tiny dips in brightness may mean that a planet was passing by the star. Kepler 1638b is a bit of an oddball compared to most exoplanets we've found so far. It's about 4 times the mass of Earth and has a radius about 2 times that of Earth, making it a super-Earth exoplanet. Its orbital period is about 260 days, which is quite close to our Earth, and that's great. Finally, at least somewhere, winter and summer will flow normally. Kepler 1638b could have some liquid water there, That's why it's also a good candidate for further study, to see if it could potentially support life. Let's hope that we'll find out more about this planet in the future. And finally, the last one. Kepler 438b. Kepler 438b is an exoplanet located approximately 640 light-years away from Earth in the constellation Lyra. It was discovered in 2015 by the Kepler Space Telescope. One of the most interesting things about Kepler 438b is its size and location. It's about the same size as Earth and also orbits within the habitable zone of its star. But there are a few catches. For one, Kepler 438b orbits around a red dwarf star, which are known for their high levels of solar radiation and flare-ups. This could make the surface of the planet too hostile for life as we know it. In addition, Kepler 438b has a much shorter year, only around 35 Earth days long. This could lead to extreme temperature fluctuations on the planet's surface, but maybe it's home to some hardy extraterrestrial life forms that have adapted to its unique conditions. Or maybe not. Either way, it's definitely worth keeping an eye on. This is a small list of exoplanets that we've discovered in recent years. Now, with the use of new technologies, we'll be able to find new exoplanets much more often. Let's hope that at least a few of them will really be inhabited.